This video is sponsored by JLCMC. So I saw a few videos on YouTube of this 3D printed propeller launcher that uses a 1:64 gear ratioed planetary gearbox, meaning that the output speed of the propeller spans 64 times faster than the input speed of their hand that was cranking it. Now, although this is already pretty fast for itself, I wanted to see if I could make my own propeller launcher that could reach a double speed, meaning that I'd have to make a gearbox with a ratio of 1 to 128. So, will I make a more superior gearbox to that one that you just saw, or will I fail and see why they didn't go above that gear ratio? So in order to get a 1 to 128 gear ratio, we're going to need a system that looks a little something like this, and it's called a compound reverted gear train. And it all starts off with this input gear that has 30 teeth. Now we're going to put that in mesh with another gear that has 15 teeth. And calculating the gear ratio between these two as 15 over 30 gives us 1 over 2, which is 1 to 2, meaning that the smaller gear is already rotating 2 times faster than that larger gear. Now if we attach a larger gear behind that smaller gear, we get something that's called a compound gear. Now if we mesh the backside with another smaller gear, we get another gear ratio of 1 to 2. And now we're just going to repeat the same steps again and again and again until we reach 7 total gear ratios of the same value. Now multiply each of them together and we indeed get a gear ratio of 1 to 128. Now we're just going to insert a shaft right here that is fixed to the input gear and another that is fixed to the output gear. And from this point, all we need now is a way to crank it as well as a base. So I'm going to add this base and this crank. But then I remembered I need a way to actually hold it, so I'm going to go with this final design, which is what we're going to be 3D printing right here. So I have just finished 3D printing all of the components as I said I would, and we can move all of the gears right here that are closer to the output. However, as we get closer to the input gears, we can see that they get harder to turn. And this should be no surprise at all, because it is known for a fact in gear systems that as rotational speed decreases, torque increases, meaning that the rotational force required to move a gear also increases. And that torque makes it so hard to move this crank right here. However, the torque isn't the only thing that's stopping me from moving that gear. It's also friction. There's a lot of friction that is going on between the gears and the shafts. So yeah, let's go online and search for some bearings that can fit into the slots that I made. Guys, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to afford these bearings. I just saw a bearing that was worth $1 billion. That's crazy, $1 billion. And on top of that, I can't get a high quality bearing that's in the exact same size that I'm looking for, that's only 27 cents? What is this website? It's JLCMC, the sponsor of today's video. JLCMC is an online store that provides affordable, reliable, and high quality components needed for your mechatronic or mechanical projects. They offer an insane variety of products, ranging from gears to pneumatics to shafts, bearings, and even control components such as switches and sensors. Whatever you need for your next project, you could find it right here for an affordable price at a high quality. And to make things even better, they're having a promotion right now as they're providing $19 worth of coupons to new customers upon registration. All you gotta do is click the link in the description, sign up with your email, and you'll automatically have $19 worth of coupons added to your account. So again, click the link in the description to sign up to JLCMC and get $19 worth of coupons that you can use for any product on their website. Thank you to JLC not only for sponsoring this video, but for helping me to eliminate the friction on this guy. Let's get this thing done. So I'm not gonna lie, I kind of broke the shaft trying to force my way through friction, and I'm gonna have to reprint that shaft. But nonetheless, I got the bearings right here. Come on, 27 cents for each of these. That's like $5 for 20. Yeah, I got 20. So yeah, I'm just gonna put these bearings into their designated places in the gearbox, 4 on the base, and the rest in between the gear slots. So this is the new shaft that we're going to be using, and it is much stronger than the last one because of 3 reasons. Firstly, because it was printed horizontally instead of vertically. That way we're going to be twisting against the grain instead of with the grain, making it harder to snap. Second of all, it has more infill. It has 100% infill instead of 10. And lastly is because I made it with literal gold. I'm kidding, it's PET G. But still, it's a stronger filament than the one that we used last time, which was PLA. Yeah, so we're definitely gonna have to do this outside. Alright, so now that I've made not 1 but 2 PET G shafts, I believe that I should be able to make this thing work. So that is my take on designing my very own propeller launcher, and honestly I'd call that both a success and a failure, because I did manage to get the propeller launching into the air. However, I didn't manage to get doubled speeds, which is what I intended, and that's because I learned pretty early on that doubled gear ratios do not in fact lead to doubled speeds. And so I could see at this point why those videos that I saw in the beginning only used a 1:64 gear ratio, and that's because it would have required a lot more torque to activate, and a lot more torque can lead to a lot more brakes. So if you want to see me redesign this thing and make a version 2, make sure you like and subscribe, and I will deliver. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.